Call this Village of Green Hills regular council meeting for August, I keep wanting to say October, August 28, 2018. Clerk, call the roll.
Ms. Walther?
Present.
Ms. Hermes?
Here.
Mr. Lee?
Here.
Mr. Dries?
Here.
And Mr. Halter? Here. And Mayor Moore?
Here. Okay, we have a moment of silent reflection, prayer by Maria Walter.
Lord, we ask you to send your spirit of servanthood upon all of us gathered here this evening to do your work for the benefit of all in our community. We ask you to bless our elected and appointed officials so they may deliberate with wisdom and act with courage. Bless the members of our community who come here to speak before council so they state their cause with honesty and humility. Lord, we ask you to bless us all, that everything here we do tonight will move you to welcome us one day into your kingdom as good and faithful servants. We ask this in the name of our brother Jesus. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we've got the regular council meeting minutes of July 24th and the council work session of August 14th. Do we have any corrections?
The only thing I would like to put in the July 24th minutes was Mr. Forbes did have a stand-in, so I would like to have his name recognized that he was here and available for questioning.
Okay, minutes are approved with that change. Okay, this is the time for citizens to comment on matters before council. When recognized, please come forward to the lectern, give your name and address, and state your comments or questions. This is not intended to be a dialogue with council or village staff. If you have questions, the questions will be recorded and referred to the manager's office for response. This will allow time for thoughtful and thorough consideration to be given to each question. Council meetings are recorded for ease of transcription. Comments are limited to 3 minutes.
Some people have already signed up. Good evening. Patricia Antoine, 32 Chalmers Lane. It's a cul-de-sac in Green Hills, what used to be the heart of the historic district. 26 homes have been demolished, so the street does not have nearly as vibrant a community feel that it used to have. We had tenants that moved in next door that actually exceed the occupancy for the party wall agreement, and these parents tend to act very irresponsible with regard to their preschoolers. I've witnessed on several occasions and took photographs and sent them to the police chief, talked to several officers about child endangerment. This mother is 25 years old and she has at least 4 children, and she may be expecting just from appearances. She takes the children into the cul-de-sac on their little riding toys. We're talking about a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and sometimes a 6-year-old playing dead in the middle of the street. One night, the little one fell off and was laying on its back, and the mother said, "Oh, did you have an accident with your car? Are you dead?" And then all the other little kids jumped off their bikes and all laid down in the street to play dead. This is on a street that's a dead-end street that has a curve, a blind curve that you come around. I told these parents when they moved in that there is heavy traffic in the evenings for Palma Park and on Sunday night when the Hispanic group comes from the church to play soccer. This is irrelevant to this mother. She will stand in the street with these kids with 12 cars coming in within a 20-minute period, and she's like, "Oh, stop! Oh, I'm sorry. Come on, get over here. I'm taking pictures, I'm sending them to the police chief, I'm calling these police officers. It's just impossible. So I finally called 241 Kids. I don't know if they followed up or not, but there is, I don't know if the Green Hills has an ordinance. By God, we need this ordinance a lot worse than we do marijuana. For child endangerment, the state has Ohio Revised Code 291922, which actually indicates that there's a 6 to 12 month confinement and up to a $2,500 fine. But I can't seem to get the cops here to do a thing about it. And I'm at my wit's end trying to make sure that these kids don't get mashed. The mother brings a boom box out and plays a boom box during the same time frame. So can the kids even hear her if she says, "Oh, RJ, come back. Oh, please stop."
Hey, Pat, your 3 minutes are up.
Right.
Thanks.
And I have a police complaint for a false document that
Pat.
was filed by Officer Lukes. And I want to know how one goes about getting an appointment when it says here that you're supposed to be able to get an appointment with the police chief and he doesn't call back.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Bobby Weber Mock. I live at 9749 Winton Road. Thank you for your hospitality this evening. I'm come to talk to you about the pool. The pool is a wonderful facility. It's clean, it's safe, it's well managed, and it's an excellent venue for good old-fashioned family time. That its members are respectful of the facility and of other guests. Not many places can say that, so we have a lot going for us in that respect. But I've spoken with many of the regular members, and we would like to find a way to keep the pool open some additional days between mid-August and Labor Day. The end of August and beginning of September are traditionally some of our hottest days, and we're suggesting the pool be open an extra 2 to 3 days, whatever the budget will allow, in 3-hour increments, say maybe from 4 to 7. For instance, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And of course we realize that this would need to be funded, and to that end I've written some suggestions, and one of them is a modest increase in membership dues specifically earmarked for additional hours. Decreasing the hours, another one would be decreasing hours during regular season beginning like the 1st of August by start at 12:30 to 7:30, so we gain an hour a day there at no additional cost that we could spend a little bit later in theory. And during these we'll call them bonus days, eliminating the use of the slide and the diving areas on the bonus days. And this would mean that we could staff the bonus days with only 4 lifeguards and 1 manager with, I understand, a projected cost of $375 for each 3-hour shift. And if everything else fails, we can have a dedicated fundraising event in July with all proceeds going to mark toward the bonus days. And of course, the number of bonus days that we might end up with, if we could see our way to do this, would be strictly contingent on how far the dollars would stretch.
Okay.
Thank you. I've written
And-
this down,
okay.
some copies for someone.
Right.
Ma'am, could you note your name and address on the form on the
I-
podium there, if you have not
I
already?
signed,
Oh,
this is what you're talking about?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I have a correct spelling of your name and your address.
Okay, boy, I hope you can read this scribble stick.
Oh, I have it here.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think we got a new member of the rec commission.
Good evening, I'm Anna Steele. My house is 150 Junefield Avenue. I just want to thank council for patiently hearing our concerns and sacrificing your time to serve our community. Please continue to do so with thoughtfulness and patience. Thank you.
Gee, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Weikart, and I'm the manager of the Green Hills Library. So thank you for letting me speak to you all this evening. I just wanted to come and give you an update on how the library is doing and to offer our most heartfelt thank you for your support of our levy that passed in May. It is our first budget increase in 20 years, and we are busily planning on what we're going to be doing with all of that. The money will be coming in starting next March, and we're certainly hoping to keep you informed as to how the process is going. But right now, I can tell you that the library is hiring Group 4 Architecture, Research, and Planning out of California. They are a consulting firm that has worked with Dayton Metro, Multnomah County, out in Portland, Oregon, and a number of other library systems. They're very expert in helping to craft large system-wide initiatives. So, of course, 41 locations were a little bigger than some of them. However, having a master facility plan and having them help us coordinate a lot of the projects is simply going to mean that we're going to get as much bang for our buck as we possibly can. As always, the library wants to be fiscally responsible for all of the money that will be coming in. I know that everyone is eager to hear how this will affect Green Hills specifically. And there is still $3 million budgeted for a new standalone facility. However, with Group 4, they are they seek robust input from library staff and community, so we're going to be doing a lot of planning sessions. I'm not sure if anyone else has heard, but our Price Hill branch has also had an unfortunate incident with their roof, and we wouldn't know anything in Green Hills about roof problems and how that can affect library service. We are working with the CRC, and we have a temporary location right now in their facility in Price Hill. However, that sort of made Price Hill go to the head of the class they were already high on the list because the ADA accessible projects were identified as being some of the highest ones. The library has already accepted statements of qualification from varying firms, and we have already selected 2 different firms that will be working on. The main library has a number of projects, including a flooring project they're wrapping up, and a number of, they don't even make the boiler parts anymore, I'm pretty sure. So there are a few things that they're going to work on down there. And Price Hill, they already identified the firms for that. But for here in Green Hills, they're going to be working on creating a schedule of community meetings and everything for across the county. We don't know exactly where that will be quite yet, but we are hoping by the end of the year, beginning of the year, to have a much better idea of the planning process and how we're going to be moving forward. We are also with an interim director at the moment. Kim Bender, our longtime leader, has retired at the end of June. So we are in a little bit of a holding pattern. Our interim director is certainly moving forward on a number of projects, but once we have that in place, we'll be able to move forward a little more decisively with plans for the future. So our summer adventure program, the summer reading program, was very successful at the library across the board. Our visitor counts are pretty steady from where they are from last year, and so we are working to partner with, of course, the schools for outreach. Amy Charlie is our children's librarian, and she is busily scheduling visits to primary, north, and south. And I've been working with both Project Success that's in our building, the 8 Enfield, as well as the middle school. So I'll be attending their open house on Thursday too. But that was just a quick update, and I wanted to say thank you again for the community support, of course, for the library over many years, and specifically for the levy in May.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great. And we look forward to a groundbreaking here. Anyone else? All right, moving on. Reports of village officials, the municipal manager, Yvonne Kovac.
Thank you, Mayor. I think the first thing I want to do is introduce our new finance director who's joined us here tonight, Deb Heimer. And she has,
Hi, Deb.
she's got a lot of good experience, and I think is going to be a really good asset for us. So welcome. Thank you. I have just a few things I want to talk about. The water main project that we've been talking about for a couple months, it is indeed starting within 2 weeks. So that construction again is over on Ireland, Ilona, Jennings, and just a little bit of Japonica. So you're going to be, unfortunately, going to be seeing trucks for quite a while because this project is going to go on for a number of months into spring. But the good thing in the spring is when we have the rest of the roads repaved, so it will have a really nice finish. So get ready, it's going to happen. Another piece, I think I've mentioned it at the last meeting, but we did get the final bid for the fire hydrants that have to be ordered on the part of the village. They're $40,800, so we'll be encumbering that money to get those ordered. And what else? I think that's about it. You know, I'll keep you updated as that project moves along. The other thing I want to remind you, a couple other things. We have the tax delinquency program, the subpoena program coming up September 11th. Those letters have gone out to taxpayers. If you do receive calls, realize this is not the first notice. They did receive a previous notice and had an opportunity to correct the situation. But if there are, and I will get you this in writing as well so you have it, but if you do take calls, they do have ways of avoiding the hearing by simply sending Rita the documents. Apparently each person received a list of documents that Rita needs from them, so if they can fax them, mail them, or do them online, e-file them, they can avoid their hearing in that manner. So, also on your agenda tonight is the legislation for finally Phase 3 of Winton Road. We're feeling pretty optimistic that it will be funded. We have already received the municipal road fund money, so the engineering work has started on the project, and hopefully we will have construction on that in the spring. And our salt bid is also on tonight. We did go through the Hamilton County, worked with them again on a cooperative bid for salt, along with tons of other communities. Our rate is $78.46. This is unfortunately an increase over $50.07 per ton, but it's pretty much the lowest rate that was available through. We are changing vendors under this. It will now be with, I believe it's Cargill. And we've been working with Compass. So that's all I have right now.
You said $15 per ton?
It was 50.
50.
We've been paying $50.07 per ton.
Okay.
It will now be, now it'll be a $78.
All right, and how many tons are we purchasing?
We usually estimate 600, but we don't have to purchase the entire 600, but that's our normal estimate.
Do we have anything left over from last year?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thankfully, that was a really slow year.
And I hope we don't, yeah.
Right, hopefully we'll do that again.
And then a question on the fire hydrants. Was that like a technology change, or do it every so often?
We just do it when there is a water main project.
Okay,
Like
at the
this.
same
We did
time.
it,
So
yeah.
it's only through that section?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. I
And
think
it's a
there's
requirement
19
by the waterworks.
Right,
Oh, okay.
it is 19 total. They do feel that out of this one, there may be some that we can salvage if we ever need, like if one gets hit by a car.
Okay,
They thought that the last time too when there weren't, but they're a little bit more optimistic this time that there might be.
thank you.
But yeah, it is required.
And I think basically they're eliminating any lead joint plugs and all going to mechanical jointed, bolted together systems versus lead. And so we still have some of those lead plugs left, although we've replaced a lot of them. Okay, anything else? All right, moving on. Law Director Jeff Forbes.
Thank you, Mayor. I had a brief report that I believe was included in your packet, so I won't repeat that. And actually, I don't have anything in addition to that, so unless there are any questions, I'll just submit that written report.
Welcome back.
Thank you. That's what I'm supposed to say. It's great to be back.
Okay, Acting Clerk of Council David Lumsden.
Ordinance 2018-05, ordinance 2018-06, both passed, and resolution, 2018-24, 2018-25, all four passed at the previous council meeting and have been posted as required.
All right, Police Chief Neil Furterman.
Thank you, Mayor. Earlier this month, we conducted our National Night Out. We estimated there was probably about 40 people that came. It was in conjunction with the manager's park talk. We held it in the shelter next to Malloy's. It was probably our biggest attendance. I think it might have had something to do with the picnic dinner we served, which was pretty darn good. At any rate, that was a very good event. We had the assistance of our fire department, who brought along a fire truck and a squad, and I think the kids enjoyed, and even the adults enjoyed taking a look at that. Another event that we were really involved in 4 different parts was in conjunction with our school system with Back to School. It started out late last month. In July, we went shopping. We used some of the community funds that have been donated by our residents, and we purchased school supplies for local children in need. We gathered those all together, and we did that in conjunction with the Forest Park Police Department. We sorted all of those out, and they were ready for distribution and given out to those children. Then a little bit later, and earlier in this month, we did the school safety drills. It was a very interesting experience, certainly with the increase in school violence that we've seen across the nation. We did a full drill this time. We used simulated gunfire to let the teachers and staff experience the emotions that they might feel if they hear these things. And in these cavernous school buildings with marble hallways, sometimes it's hard to really tell where those shots are being fired from. So they were able to see how that would happen, and we went over all the procedures to try and keep them and the children as safe as possible. We did that in all 3 school buildings in our community. And then with all the supplies secured and safety being practiced, finally on August 20th, we were staffed at all the different schools to welcome the kids back into school, and that was probably the most fun event, and a lot of smiles that came through. Speaking of training, we did training for all of our officers. We have to periodically re-qualify and recertify on first aid and CPR, and that was completed during the month. The supervisors also received training in communication techniques and dealing with today's multi-generational workforce. And I learned of Generation X, Generation Y, and a few other variations, how different communication styles work. We're progressing, and we're very close to the final selection of a new Green Hills police officer. We had a number of excellent candidates that went through. It was very difficult to narrow that down, and the finalist is completing some of the last phases of testing now prior to employment, so we look forward to having that officer on board fairly soon. One of the things that we're looking forward to in the future is our bike rodeo coming up on September 22nd. We've passed all that information out to our schools, and we hope to stage that from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. We're going to have a different location. We're going to use the lot behind the swimming pool and next to Malloy's. So we do plan to have some fun events along with the bike rodeo itself. There's going to be some food served there as well. We're working on getting an Air Care helicopter to land, and also to have a police canine presentation there. Our good news story of the month was good customer service results in flowers. And our court clerk, Vonda Sequoy, is always very cheerful at the window and on the phone, and she was able to help one gentleman out and get a payment plan set up for his fines and help him out, and one day he shows up with flowers. I think that might be a first, but I know it was appreciated. They smelled good for at least a week or so. In terms of the statistics, during the month of July, we investigated 5 accidents, 5 crimes, 398 other incidents, and a total of 604 contacts. 274 of those were dispatched or received by telephone, and 330 of those were initiated by our officers. The department provided assistance to the public in 158 instances. We assisted other agencies 26 times, and we made 37 criminal arrests and 46 traffic arrests. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Comments or questions of the chief? Okay. All right. My report, I have nothing. And I'm going to, I've mentioned to the chief the court receipts since our former finance director has left. I haven't received any court receipts. I know they're being taken care of. I just have to
We just
get...
talked about that, we'll work on that tomorrow.
Okay. Won't be a problem. All right, committee reports, intergovernmental affairs, laws and rules. Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Laws and Rules met yesterday morning. We discussed really two different issues. First was just to follow up on the private golf cart authorization to see if any of those had been implemented, and they have not. We discussed a little bit about the golf course generally, but that was pretty much the extent. And then Mr. Halder had brought up a situation concerning the shopping center tenant signage that he was looking at, and apparently that situation is pretty much resolved itself at this point. So there was no further action needed taken at this time. That was the extent of our meeting.
Okay. Comments or questions? All right. Finance and audit, Mr. Dries.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. We have not met since the last council meeting. Glad to have Deb on board. But I do have the July financial packet. Income tax year-to-date is up 6% over prior year, so congratulations to all you people that got raises, and thank you for those who paid your taxes and paid on time. Our real estate taxes are behind 36% from prior year, but I think that's a timing issue, and
It is a timing issue. We just received those receipts August 15th, and they're not booked to the ledger yet. I was actually working on those, breaking all the codes out tonight, so we will have that by month's end. So that should
we'll
pop that number
be
back
caught up and right back on track?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
And from an expense standpoint, year to date, we have expended 62% of what has been appropriated. So as the committee and Deb work together, we will bring you some additional updates.
Okay. Comments or questions? None. Safety, Melanie Hermes.
The Safety Committee did meet today. We talked about updating our golf cart ordinance. It hasn't been updated since its inception, but there have been some changes in the state. But also, we currently have a charge for residents, and we do not have a non-resident charge. And it seems like the state of Ohio has been sending non-residents to our police department to have their golf carts inspected because we do a wonderful job. So we do want to put a fee for our non-residents as well to account for the time. We went over the police report, and then we also, so going forward, the chief and the manager will be working on updating the golf cart ordinance, and that will be brought back to council after we discuss it further in committee. Then we've also went through the police's monthly report, which I won't go through again since we have already gone through it with the police report today. And then we do have some capital needs coming up for radios, and then there's a camera in a car that needs to be updated. So those are just some items that are on the horizon. Any questions? Oh, our next meeting will be Tuesday, October 23rd at 5:15.
Okay. Recreation Cable TV, Maria Walter.
We have an upcoming October the 6th Harvest Fest. I need some volunteers, so if you're listening, please come up and give me your name and a way of contact, and let's raise this barn together. I have in here also that I am to be at a meeting for Waycross on September the 12th at 7 p.m., and that's open to the public. On September the 14th is an Oktoberfest dinner at the American Legion. If you need tickets for that, contact them directly, but that's something that is happening in the village as well. I want to thank Mr. Lee, Councilman Lee, because he came through for the spatula and the cooking grill, and for this past Sunday. I had to cancel the membership day at the pool on Saturday because of the weather reports and put it for Sunday, and thank God we had a rain date. We had a tremendous response. The clickings for the people coming in were 230. And out of those 230, I would say the last 30, they were young teenagers that ate quite a bit. And I think a total of about 260 or 290 meals were served that day. We had a lot of things that were donated. The village residents came in with tremendous amounts of adding on side dishes. We have many pasta salads, many coleslaw. We had also coleslaw from donations. And we had, the theme was a luau, and everybody had an absolutely great time. We started actually the festivities at 4, and it went on until about a little bit before 8, so the pool could have been closed. We also were able to manage to have a little souvenir present for the members that were there that was handed out as they were coming in on the list of that they were members of the pool. On my spare time, I met up in Newtown Mr. Rob Howell. He brought a point about pickleball and how could be perhaps add as a recreation facility for the community. The rules, regulations, etc., and several articles that were given to me by the mayor, that there was actually a pickleball court set totally by volunteers in Middletown. The closest one that we have in here now is in Newtown area, kind of in between Anderson and the Newtown line. And I observed some of the games there, etc. And it takes 2 tennis courts to put together 6 pickleball courts. And it's kind of a new rage for senior citizens as well as younger citizens. We have, I've been informed that if the case at the time that the council would like to revise, entertain, read information about it, we have a gentleman that proclaims himself to be the ambassador of goodwill for pickleball.
The big pickle?
And he's most willing to come and talk to us about it on a work session. And one of the ideas that I was thinking about, we have the area of the 2 courts that are not being particularly used around where the pool area is and the shelter. And that was one of the suggestions that I had for a member of the community here as well. So I'd want for you to start thinking pickle, but not edible pickles, but pickleball. And it's not as fast and demanding on the joints as tennis is. It's done with a smaller racket. It's like a paddle, wooden paddle. There's certain etiquette to follow. You go to the court and you put your paddle standing up in a certain area, and then the next available court, that's where you would go. You wait outside, and people seem to be enjoying that a lot. I got a wind of this actually from my godmother and her husband, both of 87, that are kind of very well known in the Florida area as the pickleball people. And their daughter in Detroit, she was the champion for Michigan. So it seems like it's a new range coming up. I thought we can discuss it on the Recreation Commission. We can bring it up to council. You can ask questions. I can bring the gentleman up and can put us kind of in orbit of if that's something that would appeal to us and to add to the community. And I have, as always, the October the 6th Harvest Fest in mind, since now we finished the one day at the pool, and that's another biggie that we have. And we continue to meet. I don't have a committee meeting, but I have a group of people that give input and information on the different entertainment that we have. And as far as we know, we have changed variations a little bit. And we have some local people that have created a new band. They are going to be added on. We have a new band also for the later time. So we have worked our way to have some new things come in. And during the week of, that very first week of October, that's when I need the most help, infrastructure being put in, even as simple as blowing leaves, because by that time we have so much accumulation of leaves coming in that we may have to clean it 2, 3, or 4 times, for preparing the ground. So please get a hold of me at any time and leave your name and your phone number here at the village office, and I will be in contact with you. And I really appreciate all your help, especially on this past Sunday. I really needed it because the volunteers I had for Saturday, since we transferred to Sunday, were not available for Sunday. And they did a terrific job. They all did. So thank you very, very much. And for all of those who cooked all those side dishes, I really appreciated your time and effort and joining us. Thank you very much.
Okay. Comments or questions? Hearing none. Community Development, Jeff Holder.
Yes, finished another round of adjustments to the sign. Really like where we've ended up. And I have put together quote packets and sent that off, but I am passing the baton to Yvonne, who is stepping in and taking over. I think you received all the stuff I forwarded, so I'll pass this around. I think I sent it via email, but if you want to take a look at it, we actually even are a step closer to the original sign, and I like how it's come together. There were some sign companies, one in particular that was a little bit concerned about a stone base that wasn't their forte, but if they ended up being a vendor for us, we would try to work around that if that was the case. But we'll see how things come in, and we'll go from there.
Okay, very good.
Okay. Comments or questions? All right. And Service and Streets, did you have anything to add for that committee? Okay.
No.
All right. Changing pages. Old business. We've got ordinance 2018-07-S for second reading. Amending section 153.09B of the Green Hills Codified Ordinances regarding promotional procedures for promotion to police corporal.
Ordinance number 2018-07-S, amending section 15309B of the Greenhouse Codified Ordinances regarding promotional procedures for promotion to police corporal. Whereas section 153.09B of the Greenhouse Codified Ordinances identifies procedures for the promotion of police officers to the rank of police sergeant, and the village would like to extend those procedures to include the rank of police corporal. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the Village of Green Hills, Ohio, Section 1, that Section 153.09B of the Village of Green Hills Codified Ordinances is hereby amended as indicated below. B. Promotions to corporal and sergeant. 1. The positions of corporal and sergeant shall exist only at such times as the municipal manager, after consultation with the police chief, determines there is a need within the police department for a corporal or sergeant. Promotions shall be made by the chief of police upon approval of the municipal manager and council. If the municipal manager determines that there is a need for a corporal or sergeant, promotions will be given to an officer who meets prescribed promotion qualifications and who has performed the functions of a police officer in a manner which exemplifies good police work and credits the police department and village. 2. Regular police officers shall be considered for promotion to corporal or sergeant if they meet the following requirements. A, the officer is an existing officer with the village who has served at the village for a minimum of 2 years as a full-time police officer. B, the officer has performed his or her duties as a police officer with the village in an acceptable manner and has received an annual performance rating of satisfactory or better. C, the officer has not been the subject of a formal disciplinary action in the 12 months prior to the application that resulted in a suspension, reduction in rank or pay scale, the loss of off days, or similar discipline. D, the officer has satisfactorily passed the most recent physical examination and drug screen. E, the officer has attained or met the additional education requirements to qualify for a supervisory position. F, the officer has participated in and satisfactorily completed either an assessment center process or a written law enforcement-related examination obtained from a neutral source and administered by an outside agency. An individual who fails to satisfactorily complete the examination will not be considered for promotion to corporal or sergeant for the promotion for which the test is administered and for any promotion within 1 year of the administration of the test. The candidate must achieve a 70% or higher on the written examination if one has been administered to move to the next phase of the process. G, the officer participates in an oral interview before a review board consisting of qualified evaluators as selected by the chief of police and approved by the municipal manager. 3, upon completion of the evaluation process, the police chief shall select and promote any of the top 3 candidates from the list upon the approval of the municipal manager. 4, the successful candidate shall satisfactorily serve a 12-month probationary period. At the end of the probationary period, he or she may be returned to his or her original rank if the chief of police, upon the approval of the municipal manager, determines that his or her service is unsatisfactory if the position remains vacant, or if his or her service is satisfactory to the municipal manager, he or she shall remain corporal or sergeant for the village. Ordinance 04-4S TNS passed 11-204. Section 2, that this ordinance shall be effective from and after the earliest period allowed by law. I move to adopt this ordinance.
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
The biggest change for those in the audience is the word corporal or corporal and that has been added to, actually that would be the only change to this ordinance, is adding corporal.
Okay, all right. Been moved and seconded. Clerk, call the roll.
Ms. Walther?
Aye.
Ms. Hermes?
Aye.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Mr. Dries?
Aye.
And Mr. Halter?
Aye.
Okay, ordinance 2018-07-S passes. Okay, under new business, we have an ordinance, but we want to make an amendment to the calendar.
To the agenda.
Or the agenda.
To the agenda.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I move that we amend the agenda regarding the ordinance 2018-08 LNR to change the motion to postpone this ordinance indefinitely.
Second.
Any discussion?
This was the proposed ordinance concerning medical marijuana cultivation, processing, and retail dispensaries based upon public comment and evolving opinions on council.
Okay. Clerk, call the roll.
For the motion to postpone indefinitely, Ms. Walther?
Aye.
Ms. Hermes?
Is this the motion to postpone or the motion to amend to post?
Oh, do we need to vote on that?
You don't need to amend
Okay.
the agenda.
We could just
This
do
is
it.
the next
Okay.
item on the agenda, so the motion is to postpone
Thank you.
indefinitely.
I can say aye.
I'll say aye as well.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Mr. Dries?
Aye.
And Mr. Halter?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda, under new business, is Resolution 2018-26-SNS, resolution authorizing the municipal manager to prepare and submit an application to participate rein in on the Ohio Public Works Commission state capital improvement and/or local transportation improvement programs and to execute contracts as required. Mr. Lee.
You're going to make me trip up on that word, aren't you? Resolution 2018-26 S&S, resolution authorizing the municipal manager to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission state capital improvement and/or local transportation improvement programs and to execute contracts as required. Whereas street and road repairs are a priority for the Village of Green Hills, and whereas the State Capital Improvement Program and the Local Transportation Improvement Program both provide financial assistance to political subdivisions for capital improvements to public infrastructure, and whereas the Village of Green Hills is planning to make capital improvements to Winton Road, and whereas the infrastructure improvement herein above described is considered to be a priority need for the community and is a qualified project under the OPWC programs. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Village Green Hills, Ohio, Section 1, the municipal manager is hereby authorized to apply to the OPWC for funds as described above. Section 2, the municipal manager is authorized to enter into any agreements as may be necessary and appropriate for obtaining this financial assistance. Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Ms. Walther?
Aye.
Ms. Hermes?
Aye.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Mr. Drees?
Aye.
And Mr. Halter?
Aye.
Okay, resolution 2018-26-SNS passes. Next resolution, 2018-27-SNS, authorizing the municipal manager to purchase road de-icing salt from Cargill Incorporated. Ms. Waller?
Resolution number 2018-27 and -SNS, authorizing the municipal manager to purchase road de-icing salt from Cargill, Inc. Whereas it is necessary that the village have road salt on hand for the treatment of village streets during inclement weather, and whereas the Village of Green Hills has participated in the Hamilton County cooperative bid process for the purchase of road salt, and whereas as a result of said bid process, the village has determined that Cargill Incorporated is the lowest and best bidder at a price of $78.46 per ton. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Village of Green Hills, Ohio, Section 1, that the municipal manager is hereby authorized to accept the bid proposal from Cargill, Inc. for the purchase of road salt pursuant to the bid specifications incorporated herein by reference. Section 2, that the Village of Green Hills is further authorized to pay Cargill, Inc. a price of $78.46 per ton of road salt pursuant to said contract. Section 3, that this resolution shall take effect and be in force from and after the earliest period allowed by law. And Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt this resolution.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? Hearing none? Nope. Okay. Clerk call the roll.
Ms. Walther?
Aye.
Ms. Hermes?
Aye.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Mr. Drees?
Aye.
Mr. Halter?
Aye.
Okay, resolution 2018-27-SNS passes. Next resolution, 2018-28-SNS, resolution authorizing assessments on certain properties in the Village of Green Hills. Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I move to amend the resolutions to strike items 1 and 3 as they are listed on the resolution. I need a motion or a second to amend.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay. Clerk call the roll.
Ms. Walther?
Aye.
Ms. Hermes?
Aye.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Mr. Drees?
Aye.
And Mr. Halter?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the resolution 2018-28 S&S, resolution authorizing the assessments on certain properties in the Village of Green Hills. Whereas the village is given proper notice to the owners of certain real property in the Village of Green Hills regarding the removal of vegetation, refuge, garbage, and/or debris from the properties listed below. And whereas the owners of said properties did not take action to remedy the violations, and therefore the Village of Green Hills contracted to remove vegetation, refuge, garbage, and/or debris, and now seeks to collect said expenses by authorizing the placement of a lien upon the lands and collected as other taxes. Now therefore be resolved by the Council of the Village of Green Hills, Ohio, Section 1, that the Village Council hereby certifies the cost of such labor together with expenses relative thereto to be filed on the return and statement to the Hamilton County Commissioners as an assessment against the properties listed below, placed as a lien against the properties by the Auditor of Hamilton County, Ohio, as follows. Description: parcel 597-0010-0031-00, address 389 Ingram, owner Mark J. Burkett, cost $191.24, a new sum total of $191.24. That all amounts collected as a result of this resolution shall be placed in the general fund of the Village of Green Hills. Section 3, that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage. Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second.
Okay, comment?
Yeah, I have a comment. I just want to point out that those two items are being struck from the list because the property owners came in and paid the bill before the assessment.
Very good.
Okay. All right. Call the roll.
Ms. Walther?
Aye.
Ms. Hermes?
Aye.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Mr. Dries? Aye. And Mr. Halter?
Aye.
Okay, Resolution 2018-28-SNS passes. Calendar.
September 24th, laws and rules, 9 a.m. Does that still work for you?
That's a Monday, right?
Monday morning, yep. 24th, September.
Thanks.
Safety Committee isn't meeting until Tuesday, October 23rd at 5:15.
I already sent you an email. I got a conflict, so we're going to have to reschedule.
We will be rescheduling that, so we will not be meeting on
I
October 23rd.
was not looking up whether the Reds were winning or not. I was sending you a note saying I can't meet on October 23rd.
Something else for the calendar, concert on the Commons, possibly.
Maybe tomorrow.
Should be tomorrow night, 7
Oh.
o'clock.
That's the last one, I believe.
This is the last one, and this is the third time this concert,
Doesn't
this
happen.
particular one's been scheduled. It's been rained out, every one, and we have a chance of rain. So if it doesn't happen this Wednesday, Mr. Miller's planning it on next Wednesday. If we get rain for there, he said he was
Or for
suggesting...
Light Up Green Hills.
Well, he was suggesting for them to practice some of their Christmas music.
And then also the RETA tax information is September 11th,
That's correct.
but they will have, if you have one, you'll have a letter.
You'll get a personal invitation.
Yes. Invite only.
The last Park Talk is September 18th at 6 p.m.
Where?
Picnic shelter.
Okay.
The bike rodeo on September 22nd, 1 p.m. Behind the swimming pool.
September 12th, Waycross meeting at 7 p.m. September 14th, American Legion Oktoberfest from 6 to 8. Buy tickets in advance, a little bit cheaper. If not, we'll be at the door. And please put in your calendar with stars and different colors, whatever it is. I need help for October the 6th, Harvest Fest. So that week prior to that Saturday, I can use all the help I can get. Thank you very much.
All right. Meeting adjourned.